Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, as you know, the series that we did is now over. So you might be thinking to yourself, no more budget car videos from Mark? How's the world going to even rotate on its axis if there's no more budget car videos from Mark? Well, don't worry, buddy. The world isn't ending because I'm still doing budget car videos, just not like the whole same thing. And today is going to be the 11 best, because I couldn't pick just 10, 11 best, most reliable cars out there that you can buy for cheap. Kind of vague on the word cheap, I know, but most of these are under 10k. Actually, I'm pretty sure all of these are under 10k. So without further ado, if you want to support the channel any more than you already are, head on over to www.smoothstance.com/shop to pick yourself up a hat, shirt, shorts. And with all that out of the way, let's get right into the video. Okay, so coming in at the dead last spot of numero 11 is going to be the freaking Toyota Corolla, buddy. One of the world's most bought cars, and for good reason. They give you just tons of confidence when driving, since they just don't break. You don't gotta worry, you're driving them all over hell's creation and you're gonna be okay. Now, they all differ in terms of engine size depending on what year that you decide to get, but these cars aren't really meant to go fast anyways, so they only really make around 200 horsepower, but they are all front wheel drive. They're just very cheap cars with very cheap parts on them too, so if you ever decide, or if they ever decide to break, which they probably won't, then it won't be expensive to fix either. So it's literally just a win-win scenario. Sure, it doesn't have the best interior in the world like some like German car brands might have, but that's because you're paying like significantly less and it's way more reliable. Next up in the number 10 spot is going to be the first generation Chevy Cruze. I know, right? Kind of weird, but these things are dirt cheap right now and arguably one of the best cars to buy on the market if you're just looking for a strictly daily driver vehicle. They aren't too fast though. They only come with a 1.8 liter inline 4, making only 138 horsepower to the front wheels. I have, however, seen some people mod these a little bit and make them stand out in terms of looks. Just don't try adding power to these cars because they're not very good for that. You know, they weren't meant to go fast, buddy. You gotta swallow that pride. However, they are a great daily driver from Chevy, and honestly, it kind of blows me away that they made something like this. It's just a compact car that actually looks kind of good and is good at daily driving. Number 9 is going to be the first Honda of this list because it's Honda, and it is the Honda Fit. That's right, buddy. These cars are actually growing in popularity right now in the car scene. So if you do want one, now's the time to get it before they become overpriced. Also, I will be doing a deep dive video on the Honda Fit relatively soon because they're just that cool in my opinion. But either way, they all differ once again depending on the year that you get, but most make around 150 to 200 horsepower and they all are front wheel drive as well. These Hondas though, I mean, if you know anything about Hondas, then you know that they can be tuned to make some insane power if you ever want it to do that. So if you decide to go to the tuning route, then this is a great choice as well. However, for daily driving, strictly daily driving, they are perfect. They're good on gas, they're cheap to maintain, and reliable as all hell because they're a freaking Honda. Number 8 is going to the wonderful Subaru Forester 2nd generation. You don't have to live in a forest to own this car. I just learned that. That's right, buddy. 2 hatchbacks back to back, but this one is much cooler in my personal opinion, so I put it one spot higher. They just look a lot better and they have some more space than the Fit, so that's why I put it one spot higher. They also are a little bit faster though, coming with a 2.5 liter flat 4, making a nice 160 horsepower, but they were all-wheel drive instead of front-wheel drive. Don't try turning these things into a race car though, because the engine does not handle power all that well. That's kind of the whole thing about Subarus, is these naturally aspirated motors, they don't like turbos. So if you do want to mod it, just lift it up and go off-roading with it, because these things can go pretty much anywhere if you address some of the like ride height issues, and it's just a perfect car. Next up is going to be a little bit of a boring one, but it has to be said. Sorry, friend. It is the Nissan Sentra. Once again, any year will do you nicely, but I'm more talking about the newer generations since they are very cheap nowadays. In terms of the newer generations, they usually come with a 1.8 liter inline 4, making a very small 130 horsepower to the front wheels. However, there are some performance models that make a little bit more, called the Nismo, and then in earlier models, they also had the SER Sentras. So if you decide to go with one of those, they most certainly can be fun, and they can be pretty fast, but they also are going to cost a little bit more. These Sentras though, man, I don't know how I feel about them, to be honest. They look interesting, but most importantly, they're just great at daily driving. That's kind of the whole selling point on these Sentras. They weren't trying to make a car that like stood out and made you be like, wow, that looks great, but they also don't look horrible. So Number 6 is going to be a car that you're probably not even going to believe me is reliable at all, and it is the Audi A4 B8, which, yes, is very reliable. I know, it blows your mind. The whole German cars aren't reliable thing mainly stands for like their performance vehicles or older vehicles, or sometimes, yeah, they will make a mess up. Like I know Audi messed up with their Audi A5s, but anyways, Audi A4 is one of the most reliable cars in the world. They come with a 2-liter turbocharged inline-4, making a nice 211 horsepower, and it was paired with the best all-wheel drive system in the world called Quattro. Okay, now unlike the other cars on this list, repairs aren't going to be cheap. I'll be the first to tell you that, but that's literally the only downside. And if you can deal with that, you get a nice interior, good looks, a reliable-ass German car that makes it look like you're some freaking CEO of a company when you're driving it. Number 5 now, baby, and it is the Acura TL, which stands for timeline, doesn't actually, but 3rd generation, yet another Honda. Don't be surprised if there is even more, though. And even though this TL looks like a fast sports car that's going to break down everywhere, it's actually kind of the opposite. I know, blows you away. It comes with a 3.2-liter V6, making 258 horsepower, which is actually the highest horsepower number on this list, and it was front-wheel drive, and obviously that number is a little bit high, and that's because this is technically called a sports sedan, not just a sedan. So not only do you get the good looks, all the Honda reliability, and the cheap costs of repairs for this car, but you also get a freaking fast boy that can rocket past anybody on the highways if you wanted to. And if you decide to, you can even turn this thing into like a little autocross mobile because they handle like a dream. Number 4 is coming out of left field. You probably didn't see this one coming at all, but it is the absolutely legendary Mazda Miata, specifically the NB generation, because this list is about the most reliable cars, not the most practical cars. Okay, I wanted to put this car in the top 3, but I just could not, to be honest with you, because they are very sport oriented. Anyways, it comes with a 1.8-liter inline-4, making 135 horsepower, and it was rear-wheel drive. And it is by no means a great daily driver, just due to the space and the size of it and the fact that it's rear-wheel drive, but it truly is an amazingly reliable little sports car that can be an absolute blast to drive if you ever want to. So it's just, yes, it isn't the best daily, but it is still an incredibly reliable car. They're just so awesome, and there's very little reason to not pick up a Miata except for the space. So I understand that. If a Miata was bigger, you know how many people would drive Miatas if they were just a little bit bigger? 3rd place is going to one of the most popular cars in the world. Everybody knows and loves them. The Volkswagen Jetta, specifically the Mark 6 Jetta. This German beast is by no means fast for the base model, but it can be if you mod it, which is kind of the shine behind Volkswagens. They come with a 2-liter inline-4, making a very lousy 115 horsepower to the front wheels. And like I said, that is very slow. I'm not even going to try and hide that. But once you start to add some simple bolt-ons and add a tune, they're going to be bolting around the track like a dog who just took a really hot poop. My dogs do that all the time, and it's hilarious. They also can look very good, but it's also very easy to make these things look horrible. So please just don't like smoke the taillights and plasti dip the wheels and call it a build. It's not a build. It looks horrible. I don't like it. Stop. 2nd place, silver medal, is going to go to one of the world's most freaking controversial cars right about now, the Lexus LS400. Finally, the car community has seen how amazing these grandpa sedans truly are, and so prices are slowly rising, but luckily not by too much. They're still pretty damn cheap, and honestly, they're worth it. They come with a 4-liter V8, making a nice 270 horsepower to the rear wheels. And that may sound like a horrible combo for like a daily driver, but I promise this car is actually great for daily driving. I know it makes no sense, but it is. These cars are just so incredibly reliable that it hurts. There was once a man who drove a Lexus LS400 for 1 million miles, you guys. Like, come on, you could throw a freaking Predator missile at this car and it's gonna get up and walk away. It just takes everything you throw at it. 1st place, however, is going to the most reliable, all-around, just well-made car in the world right now, the Honda Civic, specifically the 9th generation. You knew there would be a Civic on this list. It's a no-brainer. These Civics depreciate like really hard, so luckily you can already find a newer model under $10,000, and that's an absolute steal. They come with a 1.8-liter inline-4, making a nice 148 horsepower, and it was front-wheel drive. And that power may not be great at first, but once again, it's a Honda, okay? They can make some insane power with simple mods that are going to be dirt cheap. It's not uncommon to hear of Hondas making double their stock horsepower, sometimes even triple. But if you're not a car guy and you clicked on this video just to find a daily driver and you really don't care about how much power the car can make or how good it can look when lowered or whatever, they're still just probably the best choice. I mean, Hondas are one of, if not the most reliable car brand in the world, only really like fighting with Toyota, to be honest. And the Civic is their baby. It's their golden child. It's the one that they put the most time and effort into building, the most just reliable, perfect car for a person that just needs to get to work and back on time, and it obviously shows. It's a great choice for literally anybody, whether you're trying to build a race car, whether you're trying to build a nice looking show car, or whether you just need to get to work and back on time. The Civic is just it's amazing. And obviously, yes, 9th gen is the one that I put on this list, but any generation is fine. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's budget car video on the most reliable cars that you can find for pretty much under $10,000. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see down below in the comments. You guys are absolutely killing it on the whole deep dives series, so ain't no way I'm stopping those, buddy. Those are staying. Those are a staple of the channel now. The deep dive on the Honda Prelude is my most viewed video now, and it's only been up for a month. So those are staying for sure. Let me know what other deep dives you want to see. I have a list of over 220 different cars I want to do deep dives on, but I might be forgetting one. So let me know if you know any that I should do a deep dive on. Let me know the top 10s that you guys should see. And yes, we are still doing budget top 10s. We're just not doing the series that we had before. For everybody that was worried that I was going to just stop doing budget top 10s. That's not how I am, buddy. I am Mark Roden. All I do is tell you cheap cars to buy. That's just my whole thing. It's like my gimmick, okay? I should put it on a shirt. Mark Roden, cheap car seller. I don't even sell them myself though, but cheap car teller to seller. You know what I mean? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support we've been getting recently. You guys mean the world to me. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.